Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to Heavy Tones, the channel all about going low and heavy with guitars. And in this video, let's talk about how you can sound like Northlane. I'm going to go through what you need from the guitar side of things, do a playthrough on some of the riffs, and then after that we'll talk more about the setup and the processing to get that sound. So first off, you need a 7-string guitar. Preferably a guitar with a baritone scale so you can get down to that low tuning, which brings me to point 2. You need to use their drop F style tuning. And in the third one, you need to have a high gain amp modular or plugin that you use to get that heavy sound. So let's play through some of the riffs so you can hear the sound, and then after that we'll talk more about the setup. And if you like what you see on this channel, please subscribe to it and click on that notification bell to be notified of future videos. So let's take a listen to those riffs. Okay, so there you go. Now you got an idea of that sound that we're going for. Now let's talk more about the setup on the guitar and then how I got that heavy processed amp sound. I'm gonna jump to my computer for that. But first let's talk about the guitar. So like I mentioned, I'm using my 7-string here, which is a Squier Stagemaster. This originally had a standard scale 25.5 length neck, but what I did is I've got a baritone neck conversion on here of 28 inches. I've done a video on this, I'll leave a link to that so you can check it out. But the point of getting the longer scale length is that you can really get down to their low tuning that they use, and you're going to have less intonation issues. They use 27-inch baritone guitars, so Josh uses a Jackson 27-inch, and then John uses an ESP 27-inch, and both 7 strings. Then next we need to talk about the tuning. They use a sort of alternate drop F tuning. The easiest way to think about this is the first 6 strings, it's using drop A sharp, and then there's a low F, which is basically a 4th below on the 7th string. And for gauges, I've used the Ernie Ball top heavy 8-string set, which goes from an 80 to a 9, and I've just left off the 9, so it's basically an 80 to 11. And that gives me some good tension on the guitar. Another thing to point out is that they do use different tunings throughout their albums. And the best way to go to the lower tunings that they use on some of them is to use a sort of pitch drop effect. So you can look at the Digitech drop, or if you've got some pitching drop effects in your software, you can use that as well. I'm using Overloud's THU, and in there's a great pitch shifter that I use to shift down. Just as an example, in one of the riffs, it shifted down to E, and then in the other riff, it shifted down from the drop F all the way down to a low C sharp. So you can use that pedal to drop down to the different low tunings that they use. Now, let me jump to the computer and show you some of the processing that I've used on there to get that heavy sound. Okay, so now let's talk about the amp processing that I've used on the sound. For this, I've done it in my computer software, which I'm using Logic. And then for the amp processing, I've used STL Tone Hub. Now, the reason that I've done this is that STL Tone Hub actually has a profile of John Deely's amp setup. So both the guitarists use Kemper amps, and those amps are built on profiles of actual amps. But then for the Tone Hub pack that was built up for John Deely, they actually recorded the amps that he uses in the studio, traced them, and built a profile that you can load up in Tone Hub. So you're really getting as close as possible to his sound using this package. So let me show you it and show you the sounds, and you can see what it sounds like. So in here, I've recorded 4 tracks of guitar, and I've just layered them with different amps to build up the tonal quality for the sound. So let me show you what the sound is capable of. So on here, I'm going to open up the Tone Hub application, and here is the John Deely preset. And as you can see, here are all the different amp models that they have traced that he uses to get his sound. So from the high gain side of things, there's the Diesel VH4. You've got the VHT Pitbull. There's a JCM 800. And then he's also using the PRC Archon. On my side, I'm using the VH4 for 2 tracks. I'll play this back for you. So on the gain side, if you pull this all the way down, you can hear it with no gain. Now, this is a high gain amp, so when you turn the high gain all the way down, you're still getting the gain. So this VH4 is just really great for high gain sound plus clarity. I've duplicated this onto another track. So there's 2 tracks with the VH4. Then I've used a Pitbull. I'll pull this in so you can hear it and open up the Tone Hub version of that. So it's got a different tonal quality, but it's still got that very high gain sound for low tunings. Then on this track over here, I've used a JCM 800. And I was actually really surprised how well a JCM 800 profile sounds with low tuning. Now, normally with the JCM 800, they're not really known for low end, but surprisingly, with a baritone and a low tuned guitar, there's a lot of clarity with the sound. Take a listen. I'll just pull that to the center. Here we go. Then I've panned these all the way to the left and right to make it very wide. Then with the diesel amps, so layering the sounds and using different amps, you're really getting quite a broad spectrum of a very high gain sound. Then I've programmed in some bass. This is using Eurobass because you can go really low with that bass instrument. I've gone all the way down to F0 and E0. If I had a Dingwall bass, I would have played it in with a real bass, but this was just programmed bass, an octave lower than the guitar, giving some extra low end. And then the programmed drums. Now, in this song, it starts in the drop F tuning, but then they actually pitch it down to C#1. So remember in the beginning, I mentioned that they use different tunings, and you can do this with a pitch drop effect. So there's the Digitech pitch drop that you can use to shift down the pitching. But on my side, I've got THU, which I really like. It's an amp modeling plugin, but what I really like about it is it has a great pitch shifting plugin. And this goes down 4 semitones. So if I just hold this here, I play it back. The pitch shifting isn't in, but now it kicks in. Hearing the guitars in isolation, I'll just do these two. So going here, and the pitch drop. So it really works well. Going through the songs that I covered here, this was Citizen, which is in drop F. And then this is Vultures, and this is pitch drop down a step. And then over here, we had Talking Heads that starts in drop F, then pitches down to C#1, and then goes back to drop F. So I hope that gives you an eye-opener into how to get that high gain sound that they use that is very clear with definition, but still very low. You can use really any good high gain amp. I just used this because I wanted to see how close I could get using the same amp modeling plugins that he used and that were traced and used in the profiling application like ToneHub. But really any high gain amp will work, such as a 5150, a dual rectifier, or with instance with these plugins, a diesel amp or a Pitbull. Thanks so much for watching the video. I hope you liked it and you found it informative, and now you can get that sound that you're looking for if you want to get that sort of tight, heavy sound that Northlane uses. And like I said, if you liked the video, please hit the subscribe button and click on that notification bell for future video notices. So go and try that out, see how you like the tone, and I'll catch you in the next video.